Hey guys, this is Chris over at transientmobile.com. Today I wanted to give you a little rundown of some drum mixing decisions I made while working on a track. With this particular one, I actually lost the delivery session file. Good thing it was my own track. So I had to remix this thing for this tutorial. I wanted to give you a little rundown of the drum sounds and some of the mixing decisions I made while getting this thing together. Alright, here's that section with the drums soloed out. So with the overhead track soloed out, here's what that sounds like. And with this, I took out a lot of the lows. I kind of wanted primary kick sound coming from the kick track itself. Gave it a little bit sparkle on the highs, cut out some harsher frequencies that I found sweeping around. Mainly cutting out some of the snare overtone that I didn't like. Gave it a little bit of compression and then moved on to the next track. With the kick drum, I really wasn't too happy with the raw sound. Here's what that sounds like. I ended up giving it a little bit of compression just to bring up the body a little bit. Gave it a little bit of boost on some of the highs to give it some beater, and gave it a pretty good boost around 50 hertz, about 6 dB worth. And same thing, cutting out a little bit of the boxy mid-range, about 4 dB, pretty decent, around 1K almost. And I still wasn't in love with it, so I went ahead and added the stock Digi. And this thing I pretty much killed all mid-range and gave it some low end and a little bit of beater snap on here. So here's what this one engaged. So you can hear with that mid-range boosted up, it's just getting rid of a lot of the mid box and just noise, and I guess making up for the sound I captured because I just didn't like it. And then moving on with the snare here. Here's the raw sound of that. And with that, kind of did a little bit of reversal. Went with the stock EQ first, rolled off some lows, gave it a little bit of bottom end, got a little bit of the mid kind of noise overtone going on there, pulled that out, gave it a little bit of crispness with the highs. Here's what this sounds like on and off. Alright, a little more body, a little more attack with the SSL. Rolled off a little bit more of the lows, and same thing, kind of went boosting some of the other frequencies I liked, and even gave it a pretty good little boost on the bottom end and a little bit of compression. And I just wanted a little more tone out of it, so I grabbed this P&M electro-optical compressor. And that's just giving the snare a pretty good amount more sustain. As far as the toms go, same thing. I went looking for problem frequencies. We rolled off a little bit of lows, gave it some low end, and gave it some stick attack with the upper frequencies. And I did that on both of these. Moving on to the room here. This was, I believe, a large diaphragm condenser placed in omni mode. And with this, same thing, rolled off some of the lows, gave it some more ambience in the room. For some reason I didn't compress it. Normally I do, especially on a room mic. And same thing, took a few dB out of some of the noisier frequencies and gave it a little bit of boost. And that one's pretty much just tucked in underneath. And then last but not least, taking the drums and routing them over to this bus here. Give it a little bit more EQ at the end, a little bit more bottom end, and a little bit of high shelf just to give myself a little bit more highs, a little bit more sparkle. And then I ended up using the Analog or Analoger by P&M, and this is kind of like a tape saturation plugin. It's gonna sound a lot louder because I'm boosting quite a bit, but in the overall mix it ended up sounding pretty decent to me, and I'll show you what these two add in. But this is what I chose for the overall. I gave it a boost in the highs and the lows, just gives a little more punch to the kick and the snare pretty much. If you guys have any topics that you'd like me to cover or subjects you'd like to see a video on, leave a comment and I'll check them out. Thank you for checking out the video. Once again, this is Chris at transientmobile.com, and I'll see you guys on the next one.